Let's do some tapping for when you have a really big goal in your business, in a creative project, in your career, something that feels really big and you're so excited about it. And also you feel like there's a really big gap between where you are and where this thing is, this goal, whatever it is. It could be a course that you're launching and you feel far away from creating it, or you feel far away from launching it, or far away from the clients who you want to call in. It could be a book. It could be like a workshop tour. It could be just anything that feels like a really big leap in your business, or a really big goal that you want to create. A monetary goal, a numbers goal in terms of how many clients you want to call in, a visibility goal in terms of, a number of, you want to do a podcast tour, you want to do 50 podcasts in a year or 52. Maybe you feel really far away from that. And you might have heard people speak about the 1% shift, a 1% shift in your belief, a 1% shift in your alignment. And I've written about that, I've spoken about it, and I love that. I love that idea of like, let's just pivot 1%, like shift 1% and see what becomes available to you. Expand 1% today compared to yesterday and see what shifts and changes. And I was thinking about 10%. I dropped the kids off to school this morning. I was driving home in the rain, dreaming about my second coffee. And I started to think about when you have something that you want to work on in your business, in your career, but the goal actually feels really big for your system. How beautiful could it be to align with actually receiving 10% of that goal? So you have the big goal, you have the end result that you want to create, or something better. And what if you were like, I'm going to just align to 10%, or I'm going to do 10% of this. I'm going to almost in a way energetically minimize it so that receiving 10% is so easy and so safe for you and quite effortless, let's be honest, because of all the work and because of the tapping we're going to do. And then you're like, great, now I'll just do that again, and I'll do it again, and I'll do it again. And then you actually create the goal, you create the outcome, you bring it out of the air around you, out of the field, and you pull it, you draw it into reality. And you didn't do it all in one day. I mean, maybe you did, but you did it because you let your energy system, your nervous system, your unconscious mind find safety in receiving it in like little doses. And I reckon in your life there are already so many places where you could actually hold 10% more. So example, let's say we went to the grocery store. I don't know if you ever do this, but you're like, I just need like 3 things. You don't take a trolley, you don't take a little basket, but then you keep adding things to your arms. And after a while you're walking around like this, like you've got everything in your hands and it feels really full. And you're like, there is no way, like I want those crackers, but there's no way I could hold those crackers. What if you actually could? Because what if it's just 10% more compared to the pile already in your arms. It's not 50 more boxes of crackers. It's just 10% in comparison. You could do that. What if there was, I said to you, just need to drink 10% more water. That's all you need. You don't need to drink 5 more glasses a day, just 10% compared to what you're drinking now. You'd be like, sweet, I can do that. 10%, you're writing a book. And I said to you, you know what? Just write 10% more, like each day, than you did the day before. Just 10% more. I can do that. It's just 10%. Instead of me saying, hey, you've got to write this many thousands of words. Like if you don't do this every week, whatever. I mean, I would never say that to you because I would just help you write your book. But the point is that you can do almost anything 10% more. You could also do almost anything 10% less. So anything more that you want, you could do more of. And anything that you want less of. Like if I said to you, hey, let's just scroll on your phone just 10% less every night. You could do that. I'm not saying stop scrolling. I'm not saying you have to scroll less for, 20 minutes. I don't know, whatever it is. But 10% sounds so manageable. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to tap into, the lens I'm going to use and the frame is receiving 10% more, because we're looking at like receiving more. You can always flip it if you want after you've done one round, but just thinking about something that you really want to create more of. It could be like, I really have this financial goal in my business. I really want to send out this many pictures and receive this number of yeses. I really want X amount of clients to come into the business in the next 3 months, 6 months. Think of that big, beautiful goal. See how your system feels. If your system feels magical, wonderful, perfect, all done so easy, like in the bag, amazing. I almost want to say find another video. No, I'm kidding. You can stay. You can do that for an extra 10% maybe. But if you get to that goal and you're like, oh, it feels a bit crunchy. Like, do I have space for that? How would I do it? It sounds wonderful, but like, how is actually a nervous system response. I'll tell you about that maybe in another video, but it's like a bit of freeze. Like, I don't know how, what do I do? How, as opposed to deep trust, feeling safe, knowing your next steps, trusting that you will take the next step as, each step becomes clearer as you take the next and the next and the next. But you are going to then just do 10%. You're going to tap into 10% more. It's going to be so good. Are you ready? All right. So thinking about that goal, thinking about 10% of it, it might already start to feel easier in your system. Taking a deep breath in, and we're going to do some tapping. So even though in the past it's felt a little bit challenging in my system to receive the level that I want to receive at, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Even though I don't know how to receive the goal that I've set for myself, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Even though I sometimes wonder, do I have what it takes to receive this? I'm willing to release that now. And I deeply love, honor, and respect myself. Because the truth is, I can have really, really big goals. And I can actually start small. I can have big goals and I can take small steps to get there. Because every small step adds up. And maybe that's not just about the actions that I take. Maybe I can allow that to be true for how I receive as well. I really honor the bigness of what I want to receive. I can feel it. I can sense it. I can see it. It's something that I can touch. I can feel it here for me. And there is a part of me that knows I can do this without a doubt. It's also true that there's a part of me that wants me to stay right here. Thank you very much. That part might be holding on to some old fear. What would happen if I actually received more of what I want? I mean, firstly, how would I do it? Secondly, how would I hold it? And thirdly, who would I become in the process and afterwards? Would everything change? Would I recognize myself? The part of me that's scared of receiving the bigness that I'm actually here for, that part wants love. It wants to know it's safe. And it actually wants the same as the part of me that knows I'm here for that bigness. That part wants love too. Or it could be freedom, safety, peace, joy. They want the same thing. They just want to go about it differently. And the truth is, I've received so much before. So much in my business or my career. So much in my life. I know how to receive. I do it every day. Look at me receiving this breath. Look at me receiving this space in my exhalation. Look at me receiving this light. Look at me receiving this water. Receiving is my natural state. I was born receiving. The first thing I did was take a breath of air. Receiving. And so if receiving is part of how I've existed my entire life, and if receiving is my birthright, and if at my core, receiving doesn't take more from me, it gives to me. It's easy. Then I can do it again today and tomorrow and the next. And I'm such a powerful being. I'm such a powerful creator that I can allow myself to not only receive what is natural, what is effortless, air, sunshine, water, and everything else in my life. But I can also set the greatest of intentions for even more specificity in what I want. And just like I don't need to drink all the water in the tap right now to know that I am hydrated and cared for, I don't need to receive the entirety of what I'm calling in one moment. Of course, it depends on what it is. I'm open to that. But I could also be open to receiving 10% more. 10% more clients. 10% more income. 10% more engagement. 10% more opportunities flowing into my inbox. 10% more visibility. And I can feel the ease of that in my system. That feels really easy. I could absolutely do that. I can increase my receiving in little small bites. Because every time I do, I can then anchor into that. And then I'll be able to do it again. And do it again. And do it again. And then I can titrate up again. I can calibrate to even more. So once 10% feels so easy and effortless in my system, I could go up to 11%. I could go up to 15%. I could just keep going up and up. Slowly, intentionally, and from my deepest power. Because I can dream big and start small, and that does not take away from the bigness. It actually helps me create more of it. So I'm open to receiving in huge chunks. I'm open to receiving 100%. And I can also go at the pace of my nervous system and slightly above. I can stretch gently. I can stretch my capacity to receive by just going a little bit more. Because even when I receive multiple elements at once, multiple units of abundance, it could still be said that I'm receiving that one at a time. When I chunk down what I'm receiving, I actually chunk up my abundance. So I'm going to open up to the 10% miracle. So open for more, but also the 10% version where I don't have to work hard, where it fits into my current capacity and then some, because of that gentle stretch. And then I get to breathe it in. I get to integrate that and calibrate that in my system. And once it's integrated and calibrated, it becomes my norm. And calling in more and more becomes even more effortless to me. Or something even better. So, taking a deep breath in now, closing your eyes down if you want, and just letting that energy shift through you. Noticing how you're feeling. I always get really tingly after a beautiful tapping session, so just noticing how you feel. And noticing now how you feel in relation to receiving just even a little bit more than what you have right now, or a version of the goal, that the big goal. What I find with this is that when you do open to and align to the 10%, very often you call in much more than that. Because what you've done is you've taken the pressure off yourself. It's kind of that thing of, if you say to yourself, you know what, I'm going to go to gym, but I don't really feel like doing a big workout. Like I don't know if I've got the energy. I'll just go for like 20 minutes. I'll just do a little jog on the treadmill. I mean, I don't jog, but a little walk. And then I'll just do some light weights and I'll just leave. But once you get there, because you've showed up and because you've taken the pressure off yourself and you have very low expectations, you're like, I'm just here, quick one, 20, 30 minutes, I'm out. Don't you find that you often have an even better workout? There's no pressure. There's no expectation. Whatever you get done is amazing. And all of a sudden, you're walking faster or running faster, cycling harder. You're lifting more or heavier. You've stayed for longer. You do an even better cool down, stretch. And then you look at the clock or your watch or your phone. Do we wear watches? Your phone. And you're like, oh my God, I was there for nearly an hour. And then you feel so good because you weren't expecting to be there. You didn't anticipate that. You just went with the 10%, or whatever, 20 minutes. But then you stayed, you showed up, and then you're like, it feels good here. I find that happens when you align with the 10%. You're like, your nervous system, your body, your energy system is like, wait, this feels so good here. Oh, I've actually got space for more. So see what comes up from doing this. Come back and do it anytime. And from here, just see what's an action that you want to take from here, or what's a belief that feels even more aligned for you now, something that you can really just breathe into your being. And I would love to hear from you. Let me know in the comments. Come send me a DM on Instagram. Let me know how you found this, what came through now, and also after you've done this tapping in a few days, in a day, in a week, in a month, whatever. See what comes through. I'd love to hear it. Lots of love, and I'll see you soon.